All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Austin Light with American Demon Comics. Um, I have AmericanDemonComics.com. My current title out now is Envy. I've had some confusion between is American Demon Comic your comic or is it the umbrella brand? It's the umbrella brand. It's my brand. I'm joined by Brandon Ingram, uh, this really smart and talented, wonderful person. Um, He's
Mm, so. No, the
uh
big issue is like you yourself, not saying like you specifically, but like as a creator, there's a bit of an ego, especially if you're going to put stuff out. You have to have like a tiny bit of an ego because you think your stuff's good enough to be put out. That you have to have an
yeah,
ego to
yeah.
do that, at least a little bit. The issue with being a creator, at least for me right now, is doing the work in terms of like just sitting down and writing. Yes, you can conceptualize, you can make the ideas, all that stuff, but you have to sit down and actually write. And yeah, I've been having trouble here and there the past week of doing that, but been pushing myself. It's one of those things where once I finally write, I'm in a mode to where
hmm
just keep going. But also, I don't need to get out of that mode because if I write and then I give it like 4 days of no writing, I'm then no longer in that mode
hmm
and I got to get back in. And that's always a pain. But once I actually get in, it's so easy.
Well, something that as we've gone. Oh, this is Brandon Ingram with Dismay Comics. By the way, everyone. Uh, anyways, um, as I get more and more used to working on everything, which might come back up again in another topic here soon. I really get my urge to draw. Um, really fixated now. Like I'm getting better at doing it kind of randomly, and kind of getting like I guess you could say a craving for drawing. I mean, I've never not had a craving to draw, but there's always this block as an artist when you get to your empty paper with your little pencil and you're looking at this empty paper like what now? And I'm getting a lot better at like kind of being like, just start doing something because like I've got a
Yeah, yeah,
million things I got to work on anyway. If it's concept art, I'll just start going, okay, it's concept art time. I'm drawing this character. I'm doing it right here, right now, and I've gotten a lot better at having a muscle memory to like start on something.
yeah. Yeah, with writing, it is the craving is definitely there. Don't get me wrong, because I'm constantly thinking like, "Hey, I should write right now," like that sort of stuff. Like I
hmm
want to. It's just like pushing myself to do it, and I've realized like over the past couple years, the easiest way for me to do it is when I have that craving, like do something small to start me out, like do something small in terms of um, a one page comic script or like a few page comic script or uh, uh, I to start out to get me in the mindset. I don't want to do anything more than like a 8 page comic script because I don't know, I'm just trying to get myself in the mode
hmm
basically. But I realize like once I do that, then it starts kicking in to where I can do the full issue scripts and stuff like that. But yeah, I just got to push myself. Maybe later today is where I finally do that because the last script I wrote, the last script I wrote was maybe a couple days ago, and I wrote it because I did have this idea for a while. It was a uh, the series I've been working on for a couple months, and literally without saying too much, it's a one page script, a one page comic where I think the title is even this. it's just people vomiting. It's just panels of people vomiting. It does pertain to the series itself. So it can kind of make sense, but yeah, I wrote each individual panel. Yeah, and each of them it's just people vomiting. So maybe
All
I
right, that's
can
good.
do something a little bit more productive or has something to say later today. We'll see.
Well, I wanted to jump in on our first topic. The Comix Wellspring uh, version of my comic has finally come in. I'm pretty happy with it. It's not bad. It's not bad. It looks good. They got nice trim. They had little protector paper around it that you had to pull off.
Oh,
Um,
I wanted to ask with the
mhm,
protector paper because I've never ordered it before because I there's no one that I can just like hold the book of that has done it or just ask about.
mhm.
Is there any bit of that that's still left on the book? Because I know you tear it
You,
from the spine, right,
yeah,
or near the spine.
you never had this on yours?
No, because they give the option of doing that or having like they manually just put a piece of paper in between each book.
Oh, I'd rather do that, man. To
Well,
be,
it costs a little bit more. It costs
oh, it
like
costs more.
per book. I don't know if it's this much, but it might be like 5 cents per book or 10 cents per book to do that.
Well, it came off clean every single time.
Mhm.
All I had to do was do exactly as it said. I kind of ripped off a smidgen of it, pulled it off, and then the other part, the other piece, others just fell right off. It just would.
Okay,
There was no effort. Um, but I didn't know that was an option that I chose.
it
I thought it was
is,
just
but
default.
or the one I yeah the one you did is the default. The
Hmm.
one I chose is like one of the options that are there. It just costs a little bit more is the thing.
Well, so I really like it. Um, Service was good. Everybody I talked to was good. The digital proof came through, and when that did, I had them do the correction this time because it was just a little bit of margin. Like I just needed 2 pages to be just a little bit pushed over. And I didn't want to have to go through like opening the files, finding the pages, et cetera, having to resave it, re-upload it. I was just like, hey guys, could you push the margin over? And it looked like they did. Everything, all the margins are nice and clean, and there's enough space, and all the words are there. Um, Everything's good. My only my only gripe is that they make it dark. They
Hmm.
darken this really, really heavily. Um, I'm trying to find the specific page. This version is even darker than than the digital proof they sent, which was
Oh,
already
okay.
pretty dark. Um, and it's bluer. And as somebody who has to like, I used to do color corrections. I just kind of noted when I held them up against each other, I noticed that they had like more blue in
Did
this
you get
run.
a physical proof?
Yeah, I got a physical
Okay.
proof. So the physical proof was a little bit lighter and a lot more on the gray scale than this one. This one has blue in it. Um, or you can't see it when you're reading it, but when I compared it to the physical proof they sent, you could see the blue.
It's up to
Um,
you. If it is a big issue with you, you can take pictures of both and get them replaced if you want. You don't have
mhm.
to, but like if you have that physical proof, that's the big thing.
Oh, okay. Well, I I didn't have any problems with that physical proof. I did like it being a little bit darker. It pushed the darkness in the whole comic just a little bit more, and I think it gave it an extra, as Dave Kellett would say, zhuzh. to the vibe of everything. But this
Okay.
version that came back is even darker. But in between the physical proof and the final that they sent, I had them do a digital proof because I didn't want to wait and pay for another physical one
Mhm.
for some minor issues. So I don't know if that would count against me, like, oh well, we sent you a digital proof, you know. But it's not too big of a deal. It's just a little, it's like this page in particular. Um, you can see it since we got the light shining on it, but like this monster has an outline, and but it looks like it just kind of is blended into everything.
I get you.
Like it just let me see if I can take it off of the light a little bit. You can see the legs and the features and everything, but the actual uh, piece
Mhm.
here, yeah, where it goes along the horizon right here and into the water, it's just like really blended into that background. It's darker in person than it is on that camera. Um, and there's like it looks like her whole background here is black too,
Mhm.
but it's actually very cloudy like it is
Uh,
back here. Um, it's supposed to have kind of an effect in the background. Um, but
in like the settings that they did whenever they sent the digital proof back or whatever it may be, did they did it switch to black and white? Like, did they switch it to black and white, or is it technically
I
colored?
have
Or
um, Envy's thoughts are in red.
mhm.
So I always go with color. Um, I think that proof has that same red in it, so
Okay,
they both should be full color.
okay. I was just checking. I was just trying to think of like possible ways aside from just like their own settings in the files of why it'd be darker compared to
Hmm.
the first physical proof as well as the digital proof and stuff.
Well, they're print on demand, so their printers um, probably have leftover ink from previous prints.
Mm,
So their inks are always changing levels. So this run could have had a little bit more blue in it, which I think that's the overall issue. If you pull back on the blue a little bit, it'll take away that darkness a little bit,
yeah,
back
yeah.
to what it was. Maybe put more yellow in it. Um, but uh, since those printers work with different jobs, um, it's kind of like Vistaprint too. Um, those products are meant to be swapped out and this, that, and the other. And they will never be exactly like one to the other.
Right, right.
Which they can look pretty much exactly the same, but you down to the microscopic level of of the ink molecules, they probably don't have the same formula as with an official like offset printer that does large publications for uh, more well branded stuff and everything. They will have formulas for their ink,
Mm.
uh, which is part of, I would assume, part of the cost that goes into using an offset printer. Just some graphic design stuff I learned in school.
And I would use an offset printer. Yes, there's cost, but ultimately for me it's space. Because I would get like 3,000 copies. Because by
Hmm.
then you're paying a little less than $1 per copy,
Hmm.
but I have no space for
Yeah.
that many boxes.
Yeah. Um, which I think, again, for me, the Comix Wellspring model is perfect right now. Just buy 40 or 50 at a time. Um, and then when I'm ready to compile them into a big book, hopefully I have an audience, and I can get a good Kickstarter and get that money for a big, voluminous book, that will sell for a much higher price range in the future. And then these will, whatever's left over of these can be bonuses for Kickstarter or bonuses for Patreon, you know, all that stuff. Um, any thoughts? Any uh,
I'd say like
mentions on?
how that's the thing. In the digital proof as well as the physical proof, do you see any of that blue you're talking about?
Let me go grab it real quick.
Okay.
Okay, I think I may have preemptively brought the proof in here. This is. Let me look at this one.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, this is the proof. And what was your question?
The question was like the blues that you can see in the final print. Can you see those in that physical print or the digital, or physical proof
Fi-
or the digital proof?
So the physical proof has a really good black and white uh balance. It doesn't look like they put too much blue in it. And yes, her thoughts are red, so it is in color still on that one. Um, and it's not to say that this one doesn't look black and white. It looks black and white, but I can tell comparatively to the black and whites this very subtle difference.
Hmm.
This one, the physical proof, or I mean the final, actually looks lighter on this one page, and they did get the pages out of order originally, so that's why these pages are now kind of offset.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm having to like flip them to different spots in the book. Let me look at the centerfold. Yeah, here I can see in her chest piece and in Satan's suit. Um, I'm getting all disoriented with this camera. Um, Again, I don't know if you can't see
Is
it
the
too.
top the final?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's darker. Yeah, yeah. At least just by camera, it looks darker.
No, it's that dramatic. I mean, you can see the little the shadows under her breast, and then you just about can't see them uh
Yeah.
in the top version.
Basically, what would appear like it's kind of what you said at the beginning. What would appear more gray is now more closer to black.
Hmm. I really noticed the blue when it came to that page with the monster, where when she gets into this part of
Mm,
hell, uh, and you're in this area. Um, when I compare them, these dark panels, I can see a more push towards blue.
mm.
I like the physical version. They did
Yeah,
darken
yeah,
it still, but you can see that monster way easier.
yeah, yeah,
Her background still looks pretty much black, but that's not a problem. Yeah, I preemptively had both of them next to each other, and I thought I'd left it in the other room. So yeah, not to bore everyone with those minute details, but I noticed those things.
yeah, yeah. And it's up to you if you because if the digital proof, because that's the big thing is you do have the physical proof, but then you did get another proof after. So I think in terms of any complaints, you'd have to rely on that one more than the physical proof that you
Hmm.
got before. Um,
Which I don't
but
think you
there
can.
are,
Go
yeah, I
ahead.
was going to say if there are like drastic changes compared to the digital proof to this final one, you probably could get it replaced. But yeah, the issue is like digital proof, like because the thing they'll say, which is true, but they really rely on this as an excuse to not
I
switch
think
the
I
books
deleted
out.
that.
But
Uh,
the thing that they'll do is like, well, like of course it's going to look different than the digital because printing and all that, and like I get that, but I don't know. I've gotten that a couple times before. Luckily, I got the physical proof where I can be like, okay, yeah, sure, it didn't look like that digitally. Here's them side by side physically, so you can
hmm.
see what I'm talking about, and so you can't do this bull crap thing of like, you got the digital, sorry. It's like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Here's the proof. It doesn't match up. Switch my books out, please. Which I've never had to go like that far into it. Usually they will switch the books out, but yeah, I always have to get the physical proofs. Like Tales from Town City wound up getting, which I didn't even have to pay for all this because they kept doing some mess ups. I wound up getting three physical proofs for that book.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think I paid for the first one. Like I
Right.
never got charged the other two, likely because of all the mess ups they did. And they also still owe me credit because I changed the paperweight of the interiors
Hmm.
down, which costs less. So I need that credit. So let me write that down. I forgot about that. Credit.
Speaking
Mhm.
of the page interiors, I enjoy the quality of what I got from the best value copy printers. All their colors are really accurate. Everything, all the black and white is perfectly just like I send it out to them. Um, and I think that this paper that they use for the interior absorbs more uh, ink, and when it absorbs it in, it spreads it out.
Mm.
So it'll make a very slight blurry effect if you have a lot of consolidated black areas.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll kind of blur it a little bit. Um, and I mean, in general, it seems like each little spot is just a little bit. It's not pixelated, and like the quality's still good. Um, but it's like the difference between like 720 and 1080p,
Mm.
I guess you could say. Um, and I like the version, my very first best value copy version of it on the paper. I'm wondering if I go down on the paper quality interior wise, but not too far down, that it would be cheaper and it would come back in that 1080 quality.
With best value or
Mhm.
Comix Wellspring? With best value?
Mhm.
It could. Yeah.
'Cause the issue is I just don't want to have to every time I send out the comic, I don't want to be having to put together the stagger paper or the stagger document of like page 1 is down here and page 18 is up here and page 2 is here and page 20, 20 is over here.
With best value?
Yeah, you have to set it up in a document in which
Yeah, yeah.
they're folded into each other.
Right.
Comics Wellspring, I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and send it.
Yeah.
And then I've got to like measure the paper inwardly and stuff. I probably I guess it'd be good to make a template. I could do that.
That's the thing is like if it was a drastic cost difference, I would go best value.
Hmm.
Um, but from what you described, it's not a huge cost difference. But you also got to factor in like the work you put into it as cost as well, cost of time. Um,
If I
but
can
if it
get it
was
over $125, I don't pay shipping at all.
okay,
So it could still be like 125, no shipping, and then I could still save 50 or $60, I guess, if I maximized that savings.
yeah,
But I still want it to be good quality. That's the thing.
yeah. My thing, if I were to do best value, I know they don't charge this, but this would be how I would do it from swapping from Comics Wellspring to them and picking up all the extra work in making the book. Um, I would do all that extra work and go with best value if I was paying $1 a comic.
Hmm.
I need a drastic change. I can't have a
Right.
40 or 50 cent change of because Comics Wellspring, it depends on the book, but it's basically like $3, $3.50 a book, just
Yeah.
about. And it's all finished and done. If I'm not saying it is this, but if best value is $3 or $2.50 a book, that's not enough incentive for me to swap over because I have to do all that stuff with each book.
Hmm.
Um, and the big reason it's not saying I'm lazy. It's more like I buy hundreds of copies, and I don't want to be doing that hundreds of copies just to save
Yeah.
30 to 50 cent a book.
Right.
I'd have to have the cost at least cut in half.
I get you. I get you. Yeah. That'd be worth looking into because I might could get more of a quantity until it reaches that halfway mark. But I don't want to be overstocked. I don't want to be have dragging
Yeah.
around comics that nobody, is buying or something. Um, but yeah, that's my Comics Wellspring review. Uh, that's my ideas for the future. Um, all in all, pretty good. Uh, 6, 7, 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I've mentioned it before. This is my brief Comics Wellspring review. I want more competition for Comics Wellspring. Um, we need more competition. Yes, you have Print Ninja, all that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about competition that has the same quality as Comics Wellspring or better, same quality as Comics Wellspring, and cost the same as Comics Wellspring or cost less. Heck, if something came out that was the same quality as Comics Wellspring and they were 10 cents more a book, but I'm not waiting all this time
Yeah.
and I'm not having to go through 4 proofs or whatever. Yes, I'll
Hmm.
pay 10 cents more a book. I'll probably pay 20 cents more a book. Um, my big
Right.
thing is I want competition for Comics Wellspring because I'm not saying monopoly's not a good word for this, but they are for the quality and the price. There's no one else competing with them, and there needs to be competition because competition is good.
Hmm.
Gets them working harder and doing good. Gets this other company working harder and doing good. Yeah, I, the big thing. I want the times to be cut down. So
Yeah. Well, they're relocating.
yeah, yeah, that's all the to
I don't
Connecticut,
know
I
if
think.
I think that's an attempt to try and
Yeah,
lessen the
get
wait
bigger.
time.
Yeah, yeah. Because oh yeah, like since the first time I used them the first time, I think back in the year 2020, and they were like big at that time, but not that big.
Hmm.
Really, the past 2 to 3 years, they have just exploded. And I think a big reason is because pandemic and people were like, I want to
I
do
want to make a
something.
comic.
Yeah, exactly. And people turned to Comix Wellspring because it was quality and cheap.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it is one of those things where they're trying to catch up, and that's understandable. So hopefully, the next year or two for Comix Wellspring, it shapes up a little bit to where it is what they advertise on the website.
Awesome. I think so too. I agree. I think everything needs some sort of a competition. I think everything that goes under needs to go under because
Yeah,
it's just the way that cycle goes. Or if you're smart about it, you know, that won't happen.
yeah,
Um, all right. Next little smidgen of news. I had been negotiating and speaking with Stan and Teresa Fikes of the Para-con. Um, when I had gone to the horror convention, again, like I said, they wanted to. I asked the runners of that show, how would I become a guest? How does it one become a guest? And they're like, well, you just have to pretty much offer something in return. And for most people, that's a big following. If you have a big following, you can get 5, 10, 15, 100 people through the door. That's what a convention wants. Well, I don't have a following to offer, but I do have an expertise that I can offer. Um, I noted that their design, their quality, their branding, all that could use some work, and I know how to help. So um, I told them I'll help them work on all of that to have a better brand identity, to get a logo, make everything high res, know how everything works with the web and works for print, this, that, and the other, and and help them make designs and stuff like that. They then agreed that I can be a guest at the Paracomicon. So
nice.
um, they still want me to get my following up. I was kind of nervous about that because it's very, very difficult. It's like it feels like it's pulling teeth for to me,
It's
but
one of those things where it just feels like a fluke if your following goes up or not.
yeah. Um, my Twitter following had got up to 160, 150, and uh, I knew I knew about 100 of those were bots, and they did some kind of purge, and I'm back down to 100. But they were like, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about your following. Um, it's just do whatever you can do in your power to get it up. We know it's hard. We struggle with getting followers and stuff. So um, do everything in your power. Just if you're doing everything now to do that, then just keep trying." So I was like, "Okay, cool."
For every video, you have to dress up as your comic convention character and you have to
Mhm.
do a TikTok dance. That'll boost the following.
It probably would. Um, according to my girlfriend, a lot of people are asking, the best way, I guess, to hit on me would be when I'm not at the booth. she's, she's like, "I'm right here."
Oh, I thought you were his assistant or something. This is the indie comics, man. What are you talking about?
um, so that's exciting. That's really exciting to me. Hopefully, I'm hoping that this is some kind of a break that I will get a boost in notoriety and a boost in getting a following and readers and stuff like that. Um, and it looks like by the time I get there, I will have another two comics. I want to say safely, I can have probably another two comics done. If not, maybe two and a zine or two and a bonus, maybe three. Um, so that's really exciting. Um, and then uh, yeah. So any follow up on that? Have you what's I don't want to
That's
go
what.
into talking about conventions on another
Yeah, yeah,
episode,
yeah.
like
I got you.
strictly, but if you have anything to add or anything you're excited about in the year.
No, that's awesome. I'm still the plus side with the Deep South Para-con is it's beginning of October. I think that's a good date for it. Um, compared to like the August. The August was
Hmm.
good, but I think October is perfect. Um, I'm still debating on applying or not, just because I don't know how the latter half of the year is going to
Hmm.
be. Um, but yeah, things are. I'm. We had talked about before. I'm I'm Mr. Krabs cheap right now in terms of
Hmm.
appearances and conventions.
Hmm.
Um, if I can 100% in my head guarantee that I'll break even or make a profit, I'm applying for it. And that's basically the three that I have coming up in March, April, and May.
Hmm.
Two of those don't even have to pay. Like the only thing I'm paying is gas money. And I know I'll
Right.
easily make that back and at least double that. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to comic conventions. We both have it a little harder because of our location in terms of finding localized conventions. I wish I was like closer up where you are,
Hmm.
because there are like some, from
Yeah.
what I've seen from you as well as others
Chattanooga,
that, yeah,
Nashville,
yeah, there's,
Memphis.
yeah, yeah, like you can get the bigger ones and there's also like small ones scattered around. I kind of like that,
Hmm.
which
Oh
I
yeah,
think we've talked about before of like, if I haven't talked here, I've talked somewhere about it recently, but yeah, I really like the small conventions. Like,
hmm.
yes, it's the big conventions. The big draw for it as an indie creator is the one I'll mention is like you can kind of geek out and run to your favorite comic creator or celebrity or
Hmm.
whatever and get them to sign something or just talk to them, whatever. As well as the networking. There's a lot more networking opportunities at a bigger convention, but uh, and you also get more foot traffic at a big convention. That doesn't mean eyes on table though,
Right.
um, which is a big difference. Um, Smaller conventions I've seen, because you don't have those big draw celebrities, which is the reason people are going to those. Um, and there's not as much competition. Again, I'm not talking about indie creators. I'm more talking the competition is the big draw celebrities,
Right.
and that blows us out of the water, understandably. uh, yeah, I am realizing I prefer currently as an indie creator the smaller conventions just because the more people that come to the table, the more interactions you have. Yes, it's not as much foot traffic as a big convention, but it's more interactions at a small
Hmm.
convention, at least what I've seen.
More, it
Um,
feels more meaningful.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'd I would we went to Comic Con and I had a fan table, which was nice. I came and went to that fan table as I pleased. I did an experiment and I should have. There's one thing I feel like I did wrong with that experiment, but I left two of my comics on the table and I was just going to leave them there. But Janelle she put a little sign that said, "Feel free to read, please don't take." And I left a lot of business cards on there. Um, and for most of the day on Saturday, no, it was Friday. I think it was Friday. Most of the day on Friday, they stayed. They were there the whole time, and it was really nice to show people like, here, read this. Like while I was there, um, and then my mistake was I left it overnight, and we
Mm.
didn't get back until after 2 or 3 hours into the next day, and they were gone. So, I was like, "Crap." But I think that they would have stayed if I had put taken them off the table and then put them back the next day. Um,
Did y'all have like a tablecloth,
yeah.
like over the? Yeah, yeah, like
Well, not like something
every.
to cover anything because it was just business cards, but I had like
Oh, that's right. Okay.
my advertisement cloth under.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, because I was about to say like every convention or appearance I do, I definitely like if it's stuff if I'm doing like the next day or whatever, I'll put some stuff up and then drape a
Mhm.
big tablecloth over. Um, and then yeah, if it's like high ticket items or whatever, or stuff like example, if it's the cash box, that's
Yeah,
going with me to the hotel. I'm not putting
right.
that under the table.
Um, yeah, it was a fan table, so it had high access. It was not with the vendors. It was not in that area. Um, and I just left them. I mean, I didn't really like mind if they were taken because to me
Yeah,
it's like, oh, well,
someone really wants
who's
to read
reading
it.
it? Yeah. And if they're not reading it and they dropped it, somebody else might have picked it up.
Yeah.
There's QR codes all over it, so you know
They
maybe
found it
that worked.
valuable enough to steal. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something to think about.
Um, but yeah. Anyways, went to Comic Con and we went through the vendors' tables, and you couldn't spare any of them, but just a glance as traffic went. And it was, there's a million other tables. You'd look at one, it's like ooh ah, and then you go to the next one, ooh ah, and
Yeah.
then so I have this kind of like weird this like idea that if I were to have a table at one of these big cons, anime target audience or not, it would be very difficult to make those meaningful interactions and to sell anything because you just got so much competition.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's at least as an indie creator, something that we have to go in and if people are listening that's an indie creator is like you have to go in more than just like if it's a big convention, more than just all right, I'm gonna sell my books, make my money back. And that's also another thing. Big conventions usually cost more. So
Hmm.
it's more that you have to make back sort of thing. And if you're getting a hotel, whatever it may be, all that stuff. If it's a big convention, it's a possibility, decent possibility that you might not make your money back. Don't
Mhm.
even think about profit, making money back at the big convention. Um, so go in with that in mind, as well as like with the big convention, at least for how it was with me with Fan Expo New Orleans, is like I'm gonna I'm gonna peddle my wares. I'm gonna have my stuff, but also I can learn a lot through this,
Mhm.
through geeking out and going to other creators and talking with the big creators and stuff like
Mhm.
that. As well as like if you have someone there with you, they can watch the table for a second and then for a little bit. I mean, you already have the pass. You can walk
Yeah.
the con and stuff. So
Yeah. That's what I enjoyed about the fan table is it was just
yeah,
it was free.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, no no strings attached or anything. I just put up my big banner behind it.
yeah,
I had
yeah,
my tablecloth and I had a bunch of business cards and we met, two or three people that were pretty interested in it and for free. I get to
yeah,
enjoy
yeah.
this con. That's, it was awesome.
I was
Um,
about to say, like any of that stuff, if it's free, small convention, big convention, definitely big convention, but small convention, like if it's free, it's worth it. Even if it's like appearance type stuff, like free
mhm,
comic book day. We've talked about that before, where
yeah.
most comic shops, it's completely free for you to go in as an indie creator. And I've already talked about it. That's the best I've done in sales is is freaking free comic book day.
Um, what I wished I had done, I had planned to do this, but I never came up with anything uh, in time. But what I wish is that I had some kind of anything, a free little zine of like one of the episodes, or uh, something people could really take with them other than my business card.
Hmm.
Uh, some kind of like I'm gonna be at XYZ shows in the future,
Oh yeah,
or
yeah.
I'm gonna you or um, I don't know, something a little bit more direct. Um, having some kind of print available, a free print to take that's 4 by 6 or something of my art, or
Yeah, yeah.
QR code and logo on the back of it, that kind of thing. So that's what I'm gonna do in the future with the free fan table. Is to have a greater takeaway um, for it.
And it's up to you. You can I mean if you have a better option, you can go with that. But Comics Wellspring for prints, even trying to remember the specific dimension. I think it's like 11 by 8 or might be a little bit bigger. Like quality prints as well as it's like no more than $1 really
Hmm.
per and it's I don't know, it's not bad.
Yeah, because I was gonna go through Best Value Copy, and
Yeah, yeah, you can
they're
probably
like a
get a
dollar.
way yeah, yeah, you can probably get a uh, better value
They just
kinda
have that
against Best Value,
shipping
but
caveat, but I guess I'd
yeah,
have
yeah,
paid
yeah.
shipping through Comix Wellspring anyway. But
Yeah, you'd have to pay shipping too, so
all right. Up next is something of kind of like a bittersweet um thing that I kind of discovered. So these past few weeks, each new comic page that I've made has taken anywhere from 10 to 12 hours per page to make. Um, but last week, at the end of last week, and so far this week, I have made 2 pages, and they're both under 5 hours of production, but they look up to par with the other pages. They look good. Um, I'm I'm happy with them. But part of me is like, what happened? Why is my time making these cut in half all of a sudden? So I have some theories. My f- the Clip Studio Paint um, program has a little time tracker now, and it tracks how much time your pen is moving on the document. I have a theory that they updated that time tracker and it's even more precise. It doesn't have like I don't know if there was like a window of 5 or 10 minutes before it
between
stopped
whenever you
recording your
oh,
time.
okay.
Um, I don't know how how accurate it was. Maybe they updated it and now it's like it's very pinpoint. So as much time as your pen is moving or much time the cursor's moving and you're using the tools is the time that it tracks. And maybe that's half the time. Um, my other theories are I just cut s- something out. I've just gotten faster and I've cut something out of the process and I don't know because to me, if it was me getting better and faster at the pages, it would not go from 12 hours to 5 hours. It would go 12,
Yeah, like a
10 week,
gradual yeah.
yeah, 9, 8, down to like a very consolidated speed. Um, so I don't. Part of me is concerned. Like, am I missing out on some quality of my
Well,
page? Am I not seeing something?
it
You
could
know.
possibly be that clip tracker, and something I was gonna ask is, the couple pages you did recently that were 5 to 6 hours each, like, quality-wise, it's the same as the pages you had mentioned before, but are these pages, like, as involved in terms of, like, do these pages have an action thing going on that the 12-hour page had? Or these pages don't have that, or
They do have fewer panels. They have about
okay,
they might have half the panels.
okay.
So there's not as much scene staging. Um, those those ones with more panels, you have more structures of people that you're making. So I like to have the anatomy look good. I like to have the camera angle kind of change in certain ways. That can all play a part in it. I just don't know if it plays a 5 hour part in it.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say I could see that playing like we were talking about that gradual thing of, like, knocking out 2 hours or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It could be, like, a mix of that, a mix of you
hmm
are progressing and getting better, and then also a mix of the click tracker might have had an actual update that is more accurate or whatever it may be.
hmm Could be. It's kind of an anomaly to me. But uh, what I've what I'm wanting to do is I've been really considering going back to using manga size paper um, for everything and standardizing everything in a manga size because it's a little bit smaller, but it's still big enough that I put the detail on it that I want.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and but it's smaller, so it would be more. I would have more production in a week by downsizing the 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 paper just because and probably spreading out the panels a little bit more um because
As well
the
as cost of production would be cheaper as well.
mhm, yeah, it would be um and I really enjoyed doing stuff on that manga size paper back when I did use it years and years ago. uh so I don't know if I I might continue with the comic book paper if my production has increased that much on a regular basis. I'll have to see how the next 2 or 3 weeks goes and see if I produce 6 pages out of nowhere. And but I do want them to be more manga oriented, where a manga page can have very dramatic artwork, but very little information provoked um, on the page. So, um, but that way it fills up the page, but it's not useless information.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it's eye catching and is fun. Like it's very fun for me to make the art pop in a compositional way, um, and have the characters kind of highlighted in certain ways. Um, all right, back from a small intermission. Um, so yeah, my page creation was cut in half. Again, just gonna see how that goes in the future. Uh, what I wanted to ask about were, I think I sent you some. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The Spooky Things podcast. I was on that with Debbie Hawk Hutchinson, which is kind of weird because my mom's name is Debbie and her maiden name's Hawk. um, but that was a good, that was a fun interview. Um, and I just suggest checking her out. I did do the other podcast, the Paranormal Web uh, podcast. I think is Paranormal Things, um, with Kevin and Amy, and that one was also fun and interesting. It was a little bit more free reign like ours. The the Spooky Things was more of a interview. Um, yeah, just had fun on those. I shouted you out on that one. I want, I hope that you can make it to the Paracon this upcoming year.
I want
If I
to.
can,
Yeah.
if I can swing anything, I want you right next to me, buddy. They want to put me on like the guest section, so I'd be there with those other like voice actors and stuff, or
That's awesome.
voice actors, paranormal investigator, uh, etc.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Recently, because I it sounds bad, but it's ultimately how a lot of indie creators are in our time and stuff. I do all like the interview stuff while a Kickstarter is going on, and I do way too many to where the rest of the year I like don't even think about like going on people's show, but occasionally I will. Like there's one guy, Comic Journey, on YouTube that he does live streams every week or every couple weeks or whatever. I'll go on those because it's open to like the community to jump on and stuff, and those are always fun. Um, but I'll do those, and then like most recently, again, I don't do them that often, but most recently there's a show called Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy on YouTube. And there's a show he's had, and like he's mentioned it to me for like over a year because I've been on a show before for talking about my books. Like the past 2 years, I've been on a show for Kickstarter stuff. But he has a show called the 1011 that I just kept forgetting to be like, hey, like I'd love to be on here. Like, what would
Hmm.
be a good date for you, sort of thing. But I was on there, I think like a week ago. And what I liked about that is one, I didn't have to talk about my books. I do like talking about my books, but sometimes I just like talking about comic stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but his show was basically, so it's called 1011. Show like 10 comics, or they can be trades. They don't have to be floppies. Show 10 comics, and like you show them one at a time, and then you like talk about why it's significant to you. If you have a story behind it or whatever it may be, if it's your favorite comic, whatever it may be. So you do 10 of those, and that lasts 30 to 50 minutes or whatever. And then the one part, one of the ones is you show a comic that like you have a story about, like a long
Hmm.
story as to why this is significant to you. And then the other one is a spec pick, like a speculation pick. for you that you have. I really liked that, and I kind of want to like. I don't have a ton of floppies. I have like one or two long boxes worth of floppies,
Mhm.
but that was fun because the week prior I was trying to pick out the books and stuff, and I realized like, oh crap, like there are a lot of books, not a lot, but 20 to 30 books that have a lot of significance to me. I could just ramble on and talk about. But yeah, I really like that. And also showed me the week before when I was picking them out, like how impactful all these books were to me in various ways. So I mentioned all that. That was really good. I recommend like anyone as well as creators, like if you wanted to do that, I recommend it. It was actually a lot of fun just not only like telling others about these significant books in your life, but also leading up to that when you're trying to pick them out, like the introspective look and thinking for yourself of like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, like I forgot that this meant so much to me or whatever.
Right. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll look into it here soon. Right now I think I do want to get any exposure I can just to see if I can get people to follow. I do need to make videos. That was one of the things that they asked me in the post interview about being a guest and everything. They were like, just you want to take advantage of making videos because you got a character and you want to kind of commercialize yourself at least every now and then. And um, but I'd really like to talk on podcasts because it's difficult for me to talk about any of my um, inspirations or what I'm making or anything like that in a elevator pitch. And
Yeah.
it's not. I don't think that it's uh, not possible to make an elevator pitch out of everything that I do, and but it's not as fun for me. It's more engaging to kind of get into it.
Well, as well as those elevator pitches, people aren't really able to get to know you as the creator.
Hmm.
And because that's like a driving force with like a decent bit of my Kickstarters being successful is like one, yes, like I do think the books are good. I mean, as a writer or creator, you think they're good. Like that's the reason you're putting it out. You wouldn't put it out if you didn't think it was good.
Hmm.
Um, but another thing was like doing all the YouTube stuff with the comic people or various other people is like that was helpful in building somewhat of a fan base or at least like people knowing about you and like
Hmm.
to the point where it gets to the point where like no matter what book I put out, there is it's not big, but there is a collective of people that will back it because they like me as the creator and want to see what the next thing is rather than just the book. I do ultimately I do want them to read the book and then be like, oh yeah, the book is good. But yeah, I think like the YouTube interviews and comic stuff is a good way to kind of build that following, not just a social
Hmm.
media following, but like a following of like, oh, like these set of people are going to like keep checking out my stuff each time I put something out.
Yeah, that's what I want to kind of hit on. I think that a Reddit is a good example so far.
Yeah, yeah,
I got another comment, organic comment, not a bot. You know, um, and actually kind of saying, "Ooh, I'm interested in where this is going." So
that's awesome.
uh, I think that I'm gonna hit Reddit, just a little harder because
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
getting a little bit more out of it. All right. Well, uh, I think we're gonna call it on that. Oh, I wanted to mention an unexpected topic for the podcast. Uh, what car do you drive?
Oh, my car.
Hmm.
Uh, I drive a 2017 Ford Taurus,
Okay.
and
When'd you get
hopefully it
that?
lasts me at least 2 or 3 more years. I bought it from a relative back in either 2018 or 2019. It's got about 111,000 miles on it right now. I need at least 2 or 3 more years out of this.
Yeah.
I need that.
Is it giving you problems?
No, no, no. It has
Okay.
no problems, but I'm just saying, like, it always worries me once I pass 100,000 miles on a
Oh,
car
okay.
because I know eventually there's going to be problems.
Yeah. Um, I've been driving a Chevy Impala for probably since 2015. There was a small time I didn't drive it. That my aunt needed to borrow it, and but um, I've been driving it for a long time. It's got 180,000 miles on it. Uh, it worries me. It worries me a lot. It's a 2010, and most cars I've had have not been within the decade that it was made,
Mm,
and I'm looking to have a car that is made. And now the Impala that back in 2015, it was still fairly new, but it wasn't my car at the time. It was my grandparents' car,
right, right.
and I had to borrow it. And then I we had a period of time where I was driving a an old Malibu from like 2004 that was outside the decade that it was made. Before that, I had a 97 Monte Carlo, and before that, I had like a 2001 Chevy Blazer. And Now I'm at a point where I can get my own vehicle, and um, but my Impala is it's nice, it's good, it's got like heated seats and it's leather, and when it does drive good, it does drive good. But it has this thing where like it doesn't go like when you first start driving it and you haven't driven it in you know over 4 hours, it kind of resets something, and when you start to go, the speedometer doesn't go up, and the RPMs will be going crazy. And
Mm,
once you pick up speed to either 20 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour, then the speedometer will go back up. But some even then, it still kind of like has a problem shifting. So if you go back down below 20 miles an hour, it will like um it the speedometer will just drop to zero, and then once you're at a stop light or stop sign and then you start to go again, it'll start kind of doing this like bobbing thing. And then even if you get up to 50 miles an hour, um the speedometer's like doing this kind of number. I'm like, what is going on with my car? It'll say like service stabilitrack, issue with stabilitrack. I've never been able to figure out what that is. Nobody's ever had that problem like clarified to me. Um, and the catch 22 is I could go have it diagnosed, but it's going to cost money to have it diagnosed, and then
yeah,
it's going to cost money to get it fixed. So, and then I also have to find a car that I'm going to borrow in the time that I'm going to be having it at the shop. Um, and then on top of that, uh, that money might go towards something else. Like if spend a few $1,000s to fix it, which it could be $500, it could be $1,500. I don't know.
yeah,
And it could be on that upper end. And if it's on that upper end, that's money that I could have just put towards a new car
yeah,
that has much less mileage on it. Um, so I'm going to look at a car lot today. I'm waiting for my taxes to drop, and then I'm probably going to pull the trigger on a car. I was looking at the RAV4, but I want something with really good fuel economy for these convention trips
Yeah,
and
yeah.
has a little bit of room for all the stuff that goes to a convention. Um, so the RAV was like really ideal. But it's if I want it at a 2016, 2017 era or up, it's it's pricey.
Mm,
So um so I've looked at a Mazda crossover that's very similar to with the RAV. And Mazdas have a good track record of like working long term, um, and not having to go to the shop very often. And it only has 80,000 miles on it right now. So I think that Mazda is the one I want, but we'll just have to see. But uh, I didn't know if you had any stories with your rides.
Uh, I've got some, but I will first say this: like, so far, the Ford Taurus, I've only had two vehicles in my life. This is the second one. Um, so far, I'm liking it a lot. I mean, I've had like minor problems before, but like it was something that like the one issue I had before back when I was in college was like the engine light came on and I went to O'Reilly's or something and they did the diagnostic test, the free one, like the
Hmm.
plug into the computer type thing. And it was like a code that popped up for like some sort of heating thing with one of the cylinders or whatever. And that was stressful. But then I realized like, oh, like it's just a bad sensor. It
Mm.
wasn't the cylinder itself because I was scared back then. I was like, oh god, it's actual engine thing. This is gonna cost me so much. But no, it was like a sensor thing, and maybe I got it replaced, maybe I didn't. I think we just shut it off and it's never come back on. So I think it
Hmm.
was just a bad trip in the sensor. But that's really like the only issue I've had. What I do like about the vehicle, it is like a sedan, and this might be the number one sedan in trunk space. Like there is an insane amount of trunk space in the modern day Ford Tauruses. Like I put all my convention stuff, all that
Hmm.
stuff like in there. Don't even have to put anything in the back seat. Like not saying that I'm saying this as like comparatively so people can know this is a joke, YouTube/StreamYard. You could fit probably like at least 10 bodies in that trunk. More than that though. You probably fit like 15 bodies in the trunk. Like it is a very deep trunk.
Yeah.
But
Dang,
but yeah,
that's
I
a lot of bodies.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's what I'm saying is like for a sedan, like this trunk is insane. Or for like a small vehicle essentially. The trunk is very
It's like
crazy.
child-sized bodies, or like
No, no,
two
no. I'm
adults
talking
and
about
three.
like
eh,
average adult body. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what
But
I'll tell the dealership. Wow, I could fit so many
I
bodies back here.
look, I need something that could fit at least 15 bodies. Do you have anything like that?
You got anything that's like, uh, weird question, 15, 20 bodies, like in that
Look,
range?
I'm a mannequin salesman, all right? I'm not a serial killer. Like, I have to carry around these mannequins. Um,
I can pop them off, like the arms come off, the legs come off,
but it'd
but as
just be
long as
so
they
much easier if I could keep the torso and the thighs intact. If I could just keep those together, that's what I need. Um, but but yeah, it's been pretty good in terms of like weird car stories or weird car trouble and stuff. I think exactly. Like something that's not like the typical like I've had like tire issues before and then
Mhm.
I've gotten the tire replaced, like that sort of stuff. Um,
That's
this isn't
another
really an
thing.
issue,
Okay.
but this made me think. I remember back in high school, I had a Kia Optima at the time. And I was either a junior or senior. I think I was a senior in high school at the time. And I we our track field where I went to high school at was like very country. Like literally, you get like on all across the street and stuff is cotton fields and peanut fields. Like you're in the backwoods basically. Um, but our track field was like you had to walk to it from the school, or if you had a
Mm.
car, you could drive around, and you're driving through like dirt slash grass, like dirt road sort of thing. Um, and I remember, yeah, I was probably junior or senior in high school. Um, a couple of the middle schoolers, because middle school and high school track team, because it's such a small school. Some of the middle schoolers were walking to the track field. I could see them maybe like 20, 30 yards away. And I don't know if I was trying to impress or what. I don't know. But I was driving on the dirt road that led to the track field, and I basically like floored it. Like not going like 80 or whatever, but I was going like 50 down this dirt road that you should probably go like 15 or 20 down. I floored it, and I was like looking somewhere. I don't know if I was looking at them or I was looking somewhere else. And before I could notice, uh, my car was slightly in the air. What it was there was like a dip in the dirt road that hadn't been filled, and my car had hit it, and it launched in the air, so it went back down. And like once that happened, I slowed down. I was just like, "Oh my god!" I was like so scared. Like that was the, I think the first and only time I've ever had my car be kind of airborne.
Yeah,
It's like very scary. But yeah,
I
I
could have broke
casually,
something.
yeah, well, that was my first thing. Was like, oh god, did I break something like under my car? Like I was
Mm-mm.
so scared. But yeah, I pull up to the track field and park and get out and stuff, and I'm walking to the bleachers where we wait on the coaches to come and stuff. And those two middle schoolers come up. They're like, "Holy crap, we just saw your car go airborne!" And I was like, yeah, yeah,
I'm a little bit of
yeah."
a daredevil every now and
Yeah,
then.
I may have played it off like that, where I was like, "Yeah, I just saw it. I just wanted to see if I could do it." I don't know. Yeah, I just remembered that. Yeah, it was so stupid.
um, I've been into two relatively uninteresting car wrecks. They both were rear ends. I wasn't paying attention fully. On not very speedy highways, just back roads that were not, uh, you know, not fast. So
Mhm.
um, that's how I lost the Monte Carlo, and that's how I lost the Malibu was repaired. Um, so it wasn't too bad, but they had to replace some front parts and the bumper. Um, but other than that, this car is freaking me out. All these Chevys I've had feel like very heavy cars, but I've driven like some Nissans, and they feel very light and they feel very controllable. I guess and I love that about them.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm hoping that these Mazdas and Toyotas will feel kind of similar, um, but or at least lighter than what you would expect it to.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but the this Impala, man, has been through everything. I think I started driving it when it had like 55,000 miles on it. Um, so I probably put on about 80 or 90,000 of those miles. And that's the main issue, is that I don't know what that StabiliTrak thing is, or what it's sensing in the computer, or why it's not going up. And the shifting is not working right, because you can feel it like jolt
Yeah, yeah.
as it kind of comes to balance out. It's like jolting to like shift, and it'll go like sometimes it'll be like car engine reduced. So like it'll like say reduce your speed. And then sometimes after driving it for a few minutes or for an hour, and you get back in it, it'll drive completely fine and smooth. And sometimes it'll drive really nice and smooth, and then an hour and a half, 2 hours in your drive, it goes engine power reduced, service StabiliTrak, blah blah blah. And I'm like, crap. Um, most of my life, these things fix themselves. I know that doesn't sound right, but sometimes I'm like, if I'll ignore it, it'll fix itself. Like, cause I can tell my dad about a problem or something, and he'll go like check it out, and it won't do the problem. Like he won't see it or hear it or anything.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he's like, it's probably fixed itself. So I was like, okay, I guess that's a thing that happens. Um, and so I'm like, please fix yourself.
According to the spirit
At
of
this
your
point,
dad.
there's no return. But it also suffers from like an oil leak somewhere. Um, it uh, it's probably not a serious oil leak. Like, some girl was like, "You're burning oil. You sure it's not like a head gasket or something?" Like, if it was, this car would not be running like
Mm.
this long. It would not be running. So it's probably oil getting somewhere hot, and then you can smell it. Um, and then the doorknob or the door handle comes unlatched. There's like you have to put your thumb into like where the keyhole is, and then pull
Yeah, yeah.
open the door handle, and it'll open the door. But if you just kinda go at it like
It
a
just
regular
comes
car
out.
handle, it just the door handle just unlatches and
Mm.
comes out. There's a crack in the front windshield. The power to the seat motor to, like, move it forward doesn't work. It'll move the seat back and forth, but every time someone gets in it, when I to, like, do a tire rotation or needs the keys and they get in
Uh,
it, they move it back, and I'm like,
yeah.
"I gotta stretch my foot." And it gets
Yeah,
so
each time you're
uncomfortable.
getting further and further back with your driving.
Um, the little motors in the air conditioning, the actuators, is what they're called. They tick. Every single one of them tick. So there's like motors in the dash of the steering wheel, in the center dash, and in the passenger dash. And whenever you change something about the air, it'll they'll all like tick for like a minute, um, before they like synthesize or something, and they stop doing what they're trying to do. Um, I'm really tired of this car. Uh, Dad said I told my dad last year, I'm like, I gotta get a new car. I gotta get it before I get a house. I want a new car. He's like,
Yeah,
okay, well we'll fix it up and blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, yeah, we'll fix it up and sell it. Yeah, I'll we'll give it a few months and see how that goes. And yeah, he hasn't even called me to say, "Hey, I'm ready," like, because 'cause he's gotta
yeah,
provide me with a car to replace while he's fixing it. It's not like this is just gonna be easy.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and then it needs new tires already. We replaced the tires in 2020. Uh, Now the tires are starting to degrade again, so they'll need new tires. I'm like, "I'll trade it in for $1,000, get it out of my hair."
yeah, yeah. Uh,
Um, but yeah, that's a different topic I wanted to
no,
see.
like it actually made me think like slightly on the comic topic. Um, with that, I don't have like crazy anxiety, but like I have always like worried, what if my car just craps out on the way to a convention?
Mhm.
I've had that happen. I think
That's
every
my big
time
worry with it
I've
right
been
now.
going to a convention. Yeah, you have it even worse. Like you have a genuine concern. Um, but yeah, like yeah, I've every convention I always have that worry, which I don't know. I don't know why I have that worry. It's not like the end of the world.
Mhm.
Like yes, I do want to do these conventions, but yeah,
It would
I
just
don't
be
know
so
why.
convenient, like, you've
I
spent money
think
on place. You got a hotel you're probably
I
going
think that's
to.
the thing is it's like, yeah, like especially if it's a convention I spent money on and
You gotta
hotel and stuff,
wait
it's like,
on
ah,
somebody that's gonna come help you, like
yeah, yeah,
family or something, or roadside service. You gotta wait on them and then
yeah,
figure out how you're gonna get somewhere, it's
yeah.
I don't like thinking about it.
As well as this is not no shots at Tio right here, but Tio usually does the conventions with me. And if I'm in that predicament, I'd rather be by myself than with someone.
Yeah,
I'd rather not entirely. I know this sounds kind of selfish or whatever. Not entirely that like they're going to be bothered by it. Yes, they are. But I'd rather it just be me.
so you don't have the responsibility of, like,
So I don't have
figuring
the
out how to get them
responsibility
somewhere.
of how to get them somewhere, as well as I don't have to hear them complain about the same thing I'm complaining about in my head. It's no shots at Tio. I'm just saying in general,
Yeah,
like
like,
if
if
I'm
you're
going
if
through
you're stuck
something,
with me, you better be a positive, you know, dandy guy. You better be
like
Ned freaking Flanders,
yeah, like
because I don't wanna hear.
I'm already stressing. Like
Yeah,
I don't need to be worrying about like, oh, like this person, their stress levels and stuff. Like yeah, I'd rather that type of stuff happen when I'm by myself. Or if I'm with my
right.
dad, because my dad could help out with that situation
Yeah.
in terms of the car or whatever.
It'll be more
But
stress on him to, like, try look at
yeah,
look at it, and
yeah, exactly.
it makes you feel a little bit more better.
Yeah. But no, I don't want that to ever happen where I crap out, my car craps out on the way to a convention. And if it does, I don't want anyone in the car. Just
Yeah.
let me deal with it. I don't need the added anxiety and stress of
Mhm.
thinking like, "Oh god, like what are they thinking?" And then you're actually vocalizing what you're thinking. I don't want to hear
Mhm.
it.
So,
I'm
like,
sorry you have to deal with that as a passenger, but please not now.
Moral of the story is, always get your oil changed every 3 months. Um, so I would have been more than happy to have mine fixed back in 2021, because it's been doing this problem for years. It's just gradually gotten a little bit worse every year.
Right.
Um, but I was a broke college kid, and
Yeah, yeah.
I had just every time I would get money saved up, and I started a full time job in 2021 at a place. I'd get money saved up, and then it would go to something else. Like the first time it went to tires.
Yeah.
The second thing went to like my contact lens eye appointment. Next thing, it's going towards whatever bill is coming my way. Um, so I would want to pay for the car to get fixed, but I had other priorities that kept
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
over. Or before that, I had no money at all, and I didn't want to. I don't like asking my parents to fix things.
Yeah.
And then uh, on top of that, it's just I'd have to find a replacement car for however long. You never know how long it could be in a shop for a year or two, and I don't like feeling like I'm inconveniencing somebody by having their vehicle,
Yeah. I'm the
and then
same
I
way.
have to take care of their vehicle when that time. Like nothing better happen to this one, you know. So I'm just so uh, happy and to be looking at a new car, even if I have to pay a little bit more from a dealership. Because I always thought I would buy from an individual. It's like a no-brainer. They don't. Um, it would be a few $1,000s cheaper. Uh, you don't have to go through the hassle of a dealership trying to like get, you know, professionally trained people trying to get their money out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do have to go with the trade-in and the financing and um, all that stuff. I can't just go grab one wholesale from somebody.
Yeah.
All right. That's a hour and a half. It's been great talking to you, Brandon. Next time, maybe we might get to aliens. Uh, I want to hear your thoughts on that, and well, I'll have an update probably on how the pages are going. Um, and I'll try and keep an ear out for anything that you're doing and listen to anything. Um, Pick back up on yours with Tio. Uh, I'm Austin Light with American Demon Comics. You can find me at AmericanDemonComics.com. You can find me on TikTok, Facebook, Reddit, uh, any of those platforms. Um, and I'm joined with this beautiful, smart, uh, upper echelon of a comic creator, Brandon Ingram.
No, I may come off as that. I'm definitely not that. No, but yeah, you can check out my stuff, Dismay Comics, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Um, yeah, comics are coming out this year. Galsman 3 will come out probably in August on Kickstarter. Dismay Avenue number 3 hopefully will come out in the fall of this year. Um,
If I
and
get Gallows
then
Man, I want Gallows Man 1 and 2 with it.
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a part of like there's gonna be like different tiers that have like
Yeah.
all of them and stuff. But yeah, those will come out. And then some other series that I've been working on, going to try to pitch those once those are done. Uh, one series we're almost halfway done with the first issue, so once that's done, I'll start pitching it to some publishers.
All right, Brandon. It's been great talking to you, and we will catch you on the next one.
Take care.
See ya.